Hi, I'm Patricia Allingham Carlson, and this is a full end-to-end version of my painting Tulips 1. For a condensed version, take a look in the description link below. Episode 1. I begin this painting with an intention of painting a loose floral. I begin wet on wet. I apply all kinds of beautiful rich colors. I tilt the paper. While the paint is wet, I even spray it with my spray bottle to add some texture and put some salt on. Then it's dry and I begin to detail. Let's get to the painting, and I hope you like it and subscribe below. Thank you. This is my reference photo. I frequently work from reference photos and try to be inspired by what I see. Sometimes I copy exactly, and sometimes I take the colors and the forms and then just try to run with them, like I'm doing for this painting. For this episode, I've decided to work with some tulips. I've done a lot of landscapes recently, and I wanted something free and beautiful and loose. And that was my goal here. I'm starting out with my spray bottle and putting down some wet areas where I can start in with some good bright colors. As you can see, I'm forming the form of the tulip in yellow. There were two peachy yellow colored tulips in my arrangement. My next tulips were sort of a burgundy and sort of a lavender. As well as a pink tulip. I'm working very wet, and I'm not overly concerned about the paint spreading, but I have contained it to some extent in where I've wet the paper. Where the paint ran, I sort of allowed a new tulip to form. The purple tulip had some very strong darks. So I am laying in many layers of that particular color. And keeping it loose with my spray. I start with yellows and golden, warm lake colors for the foliage. I next come in with my medium tones. My reference I'm following is from a beautiful living tulip arrangement that I treated myself with last winter. It was such a lovely treat to have fresh flowers in January. So I took a lot of photographs, and that's what I'm working from on this. Spraying it down to keep it wet. As you can see, I'm trying to preserve areas of white between the different stems and leaves. So there's no water sprayed there. Working loose like this, if the purple spreads up into the green leaf, it's not a matter of concern for me. Building up some strong darks, which will very likely dry much lighter. Turning the painting sideways allows me to get a straight line where I want it, such as in a tulip stem. The start of a painting like this is the easiest part. The accidents happen where they happen, some successfully and pretty, and others that will need to be tweaked and worked with. At this point, I'm elevating the paper on the end and trying to let the paint run downward in a natural leaf type formation. And there goes the run. I will steer it down to where I think it might look good. And there goes that one. Setting up a little complementary color scheme there with the blue, purple against the orange and against the yellow. That color is vermilion, and it's a very nice shade to use with yellows and oranges. I'm adding a light spray over the surface. And sometimes the spray will make a nice little texture, a pebbly texture. Almost like salt greens would do. I'm pressing my paper towel into a couple spots to make them a little lighter between the leaves. I'm pressing hard so the paint will actually come off the paper and the paper will dry a little bit and not just seep right back in. Against the light, the yellow tulip had some almost brown colors showing as shadows. So I've mixed together some burnt sienna and a little purple and made a mauve to try to show some of these shadows. And it's a good idea to take any color that you use in one place on a painting, at least into one other place on the same painting. So I'm trying to bring some of these oranges down into the leaves as well. Now I'm dropping some grains of salt onto the wet paint, which will further add some texture when they dry. Each little piece of salt will absorb some paint and make a cool little mark on the paint surface, and it can be quite interesting. I'm just using regular table salt here. Now once you put your salt down, you really can't paint into that area again, or your salt's not going to do anything except turn into seawater and mess with your paints. So I'm trying not to work on the salted area, but just add a couple more touches. And then it dried overnight. This is how it looked the next day. As you can see, all my colors have faded considerably. But I do have some nice loose forms to work with. I have decided to detail the tulip flowers with some petals, and yet I did not want to over detail them and make another tight painting, as I sometimes tend to do. I wanted to work loose here. So I'm coming in and outlining where I want to put some individual petals. I paint a line in. I get the color to the point where I like it, and then I will blend it out with a little water. I am looking carefully at my reference photo as I work, because the light shining through the tulip petals lit them up in a beautiful way, in which some of them actually glowed and other areas were quite dark. You could see where some of the salt texture took on the left, or on the right leaf on the lower side, where there's a nice little dapply texture there. That's going to become somewhat important later. In this video. I hope you enjoyed my video of Tulips 1, and I hope you learned something. I appreciate your likes, and please do subscribe. If you click on the bell and select all, you'll get a ring whenever I post a new video. Your comments are welcome, as well as your feedback, because I really do want to make my video helpful and informative. I'll see you soon with a new end-to-end video, so please don't forget to subscribe.